Hello friends, welcome to my channel. This is Charan. In this video tutorial, I will show you in Python Django web framework how to create a simple autocomplete drop-down list with a data list element. And here we got the final output of the project, which is our index.html, our home page, which contains the header tags, and below that we have the data list element. When I expand this, click this button, Ctrl C, notice we got all the color names are binded from this colors table. Now let's search for it. If I type B here, notice, so here we got all the color names starts with B. If I type W, we got white. If I type orange, ORA, yellow. If you are a first time visitor to my channel, please subscribe to get the latest updates. Before writing the coding part in Python and Django web framework, first we'll check the table and the column name I want to bind to a data list element. The table is the colors table, which contains two columns, ID and color name. My aim is I want to create a new drop-down list with a autocomplete functionality using HTML5 data list element in Python Django web framework. So let's write the coding part. Before creating a project in Django web framework, first we'll create a new folder in this local disk D drive. Right click the mouse, select new, click folder, and the folder name is Autocomplete DTL is my project folder name. Let's open this folder. Right now this folder is empty. Now let's create a new Django web application in this folder. I'm using Visual Studio Code to write the Python programming. First, we'll add the project of the folder which we have created. Open file, open folder. The project we have created in this D drive. The project name is Autocomplete DTL. The application name is, I have selected that one. Click select folder. And here in the Explorer, the folder is added into our Visual Studio Code. Right now, this folder contains empty. Let's minimize this folder. See, it's totally empty. And at the right side, we have a welcome page. Let's close that one. Now it's time to create a new Django web application. For that, open View, select Terminal. And see here we got the terminal, which is nothing but a command prompt. And also notice the path is autocomplete-DTL, which is the folder name, this folder name which I have created in this D drive. Now let's create a project, Django admin start project, and the project name is DTL autocomplete. This is my project name. Click enter, and notice here the DTL autocomplete, the application is added, it's created successfully in this folder. Let me expand this application. Notice there is a subfolder DTL autocomplete and one manage.py, which is a Python file. And let me expand this subfolder also. See here in the subfolder we have some default Python files are added automatically when I have created this project. So after creating a project, next we require a templates folder to render our HTML files. Right click the application name, click new folder. The folder name is templates, enter. Now in this templates folder we'll add a simple HTML5 pages. Right click the template folder, click new file, and the HTML file name is index.html. and here we got our index.html page. After adding our HTML page, the next step, let's add the HTML code, doc type. I'm closing the HTML tag, HTML. I'm adding header section. Inside this header section, I'm adding title. The title is Autocomplete Dropdown list with data list element with the data list. So after the header section, I'm adding the body tag. Body. Inside this body, I'm adding the headings h1. How to create a simple drop-down list. Autocomplete with datalist, and h2 tag. I'm adding Python, Django web framework tutorials. And after the heading tags, I'm adding the horizontal line. Now after the horizontal line, before adding the data list element, first we'll add our database connection string. So in the projects of folder, notice there is a settings.py, open that one, and the settings.py, come to the bottom. First, in the installed apps, we need to add our application name, which is a DTL autocomplete. So between single quotes, DTL autocomplete. After adding our project name, come to the bottom. The next step, in the templates, we have to configure the base directory with this templates folder. So in the directories section in this template folder, there is a dirs. In the square brackets, let's add os.path.join method. In this join method, I'm adding the base directory, base_directory, comma, between single quotes, I'm joining this templates folder with this base directory. Add the templates folder, which is our. After adding the templates folder, next come to the bottom. Notice now in the databases section, the default database connection string is a SQLite 3, but our connection string I want to connect to the MySQL database. So instead of SQLite 3, add MySQL, and in the name, let's delete this default line. Between single quotes, I'm adding my database name. Our database name is SampleDB. Let's add that one, SampleDB. Then we have to add our username of my SQL, which is the root, comma. Next one is a password, PSS password. Now between single quotes, here in the password I'm leaving blank because I don't have any password to log into my PHP MyAdmin database. If you have any password, please enter that one here between these single quotes. The next step, we need to add the host colon. Between single quotes, I'm adding the host is a local host, comma, and after that I'm adding the port, the attribute. The MySQL port number is Let's open MySQL PHP management database. Here is the MySQL 3306 is a port number. Let's add that one between single quotes. Between single quotes 3306, comma, and the last one attribute is the options. Here the options between curly braces. Again, I am adding the single quotes. Init underscore command, it's an underscore command colon. Now between double quotes I'm adding setting SQL underscore mode is equals to between single quotes strict underscore trans underscore tables. That's it. We have configured our database connection string in this settings.py. Let's save this file. Save all. So after settings, after adding the connection string in this settings.py, the next step we need the models page. Right click the subfolder, click new file. Let's give the name is a models.py. On this models.py, in this Python page, I'm just defining my the column properties and the table name. First, let's import the class from Django.db import. I'm importing the models for class. Now let's create a class in this models page. The class name is Autocomplete. In this class I'm adding models.model. Then add the colon. Inside this colon I'm defining the property. The property name is in my table we have two columns, ID and color name. So I'm adding the color name. In our table we have two columns, ID and color name. I want to bind this color name. So first let's create the property for the color name is equals to models.char field, and let's declare the size max underscore length is equals to 100. Then class meta tag, M is capital meta colon. Now in this meta class I'm defining my table name. So db underscore table is equals to between double quotes I'm adding this colors table name. Copy that one and paste here. That's it. Now let's save this file. Save all. Now we require the views page to call the models class and to render our index.html pages. So again select the autocomplete the subfolder, click new file. File name is a views.py, and here we got the views.py. First let's import the classes from Django shortcuts import. From these shortcuts I'm importing the render class. This render class is used to render this index.html page on the browser. So after adding this render class, next we need to add our class name from this models page. The class name is autocomplete. So let's copy this autocomplete, copy that one in the views page. The models page is in this subfolder DDL autocomplete dot models page name import. I'm adding the class name which is this autocomplete. Copy this one and paste here. Now let's define the function def auto search is a function name. request colon this function return render method. I'm rendering request comma between single quotes. I want to render this index.html page, so add that page index.html. The final parameter I'm adding in this render method, the output. So the output is the result is equals to the column name we are getting from this autocomplete class. See here, if you notice, we have added the autocomplete, the property color name and the color stable also. So let's add the autocomplete, the class name from the model dot objects objects dot all method. Now let's add this result here between curly braces. I'm defining the dictionary. The first one is a key result, the key value is result, and the value is the key is autocomplete, the class name, and the value is the result. That's it. Let's save this file views.py also. Now we need to configure the URLs. So open urls.py. On this urls.py, notice in the URL patterns we have the default path, which is the admin, so which I don't require. Let's comment with the hash. Let's add our path between single quotes comma the path we are getting from this views page. So let's import first from dot import views page. Now here in the path method I'm adding views dot. The path we have written the index.html. This index.html we are getting from this function auto search. Let's copy this function name and add here views.auto search. That's it. Let's save this file. Now the final step, we need to bind the column name into a data list element, which is the autocomplete drop-down list. So after the horizontal line, I'm adding a simple data list element. In this data list, I'm adding the sub element of this data list, which is the option. In the option, I'm adding first we'll add a for loop to fetch the records between curly braces percentage for loop. I'm adding the result in the column name we are getting from this models class. So let's add this autocomplete from this models class autocomplete. Let's close the for loop using end for. Now in the option we are adding between curly braces. Now in this expression between curly braces, I'm adding the column name we are getting from this result. Let's add that one. Result dot the color name. That's it. Now the most important step is, now let's add the input element. In the input I'm adding the list attribute. In this list attribute I'm adding the data list ID. So give ID is equals to between double quotes DDL complete. This is the data list ID. Let's copy this one, copy and paste in this input list. So make sure the data list ID and the input list names are same. and let's add the placeholder is equals to search colors name. Let's close this input element. That's it, we have done the complete coding part. Save all the files. Now let's check the output. Now in the command prompt terminal, before run the server, we need to add our project name, cd ddl autocomplete, enter. Now let's run the server. Python manage.py run server. We have to add this manage.py here. Then run server, enter. So notice here we have no issues to our project, and below that we have our server. So follow link, control plus click. Here is running our HTML page, and here we got the final output of the project, which is our index.html, our home page, which contains the header tags, and below that we have the data list element. When I expand this, click this button, Ctrl C, notice we got all the color names are binded from this colors table. Now let's search for it. If I type B here, notice, so here we got all the color names starts with B. If I type W, we got white. If I type orange, ORA, yellow,